Hi, I'm Joe Amaral, principal of Portsmouth High School. Thank you and good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening in our opportunity to share about what's going on at Portsmouth High School as we look to do our reopening plan. Certainly, these are difficult times for all of us as we battle against this insidious virus. It's been a challenge to navigate a pathway for student learning. With the support of our tremendously hardworking and dedicated teachers, our committed parents, and our equally dedicated students, however, our challenges have turned into new, innovative opportunities to learn. Our spring virtual learning experience morphed into a steady and inclusive learning environment that supported students in spite of our current circumstances. Our Flex Days provided an opportunity for teachers to support students. Our daily advisory program helped maintain regular relationships between students and teachers. We concluded last year as an unusual year by trying to make it as normal as possible with an extraordinary and unique graduation experience for the class of 2020, a graduation that they will never forget. Now we are facing an unprecedented and non-conventional start of our high school year. Our administration, staff, and students have contributed to an opening plan that adheres to our first priority, the safety of our students. Many resources and suggestions have already been enacted to make our schools safer from this virus. We are prepared and always reviewing our plans. As circumstances change and new information is shared with our learning community. We are committed to our mission of providing students with 21st century skills that will make them career and college ready. The pandemic will not deter us from our mission. It will only resolve us to offer more dynamic strategies to reach our students and propel them to higher levels of learning. But we can only do this together. As I mentioned in many opening scenarios, that our students' success is based on three fundamental factors: school, parents, and the student themselves. It's like a three-legged stool. If one of those factors fall apart, then the stool cannot stay up. And it takes that relationship to make it happen. So let's begin with our PowerPoint presentation. So you have some information about how we're going to proceed this year. As you know, the attendees this evening will be joining via Zoom and also through live streaming on our PSD YouTube channel. We'll be reviewing our school plan according to three critical areas: operations, health and safety, and instruction and supports. Additionally, we will develop tonight's presentation using questions we have received from parent surveys that we sent out yesterday through Google Docs, and we'll be answering any additional questions that were submitted. At the conclusion of the meeting, we'll be discussing next steps in releasing this presentation of our reopening through our reopening handbook. I think what most students want to know is when and how are we going to come back to school? And I think Dr. Kenworthy did an awesome job of presenting that information. This is another graphic to help students understand what is the expectation for them on the week of September 14th. For all students grade 9 through 12, from Monday through Friday, there'll be distance learning. Monday is a flex day, which means students are going to be coming to 8 periods of a class. We have 8 periods in our day. If a student has 8 periods of classes, on Mondays, they'll be attending those classes. And then students will be attending either Tuesday and Thursday, or Wednesday and Friday, depending on their designation of their last name. And students who are in life skills, those are students that have severe and profound needs. Those students are coming in person Monday through Friday. On the week of the 21st, we're going to give our freshmen who are new to Portsmouth High School an opportunity, since the orientation is much different this year, a chance to experience Portsmouth High School, know how to get to classes, be able to meet their teachers, and they're going to be coming in real time. Again, Monday is going to be distance learning, and on Tuesday is going to be in-person learning for freshmen only. If their last name begins with A through L, they'll be Tuesday and Thursday. If their last names are between M and Z, they'll be coming in Wednesday and Friday. And students in grades 10 through 12 are still going to access the curriculum, but do it through a distance learning format. And again, life skills students are all going to be coming in those days. For the week of the 28th, that's when we are in full hybrid learning mode. On Monday, all students are going to be having distance learning through our Flex Day program. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, students that have last names beginning with A through L will be in school. And on Wednesdays and Fridays, students with M through Z will be in person through school. And some students might ask, well, Mr. Amro, we usually rotate, and depending on what day of the week it's going to be, we're going to go in. No, it is a set Tuesday and Thursday, Wednesday and Friday, every single week. There is no rotation. Those are the days that we're going to operate. What is the high school distance learning program? All students, both in-person and distance learning, will be included on a class list of their scheduled courses. Every student will have a schedule.
Mr. Amaro?
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you share your screen?
That would be helpful, wouldn't it?
Yes, thank you.
We'll be able to share this on our website as well later, so you'll be able to see the essence of the PowerPoint. But the high school distance learning program, what is it about? Basically, every student's going to have a schedule, and that schedule is going to be the same as it's always been. A minimum of 7 credits, a maximum of 8 credits. All students will have access to Google Classroom, which our teachers are going to be using as a basic platform for students to access curriculum resources, materials, homework assignments. The distance learning students, those families who have decided that they want their children at home, they'll still have access to real-time instruction and will be able to participate as would in-person and hybrid students. All students regarding of in-person or distance learning will be monitored and supported by our PHS MTSS, or multi-tier systems of support team, as appropriate. That team is used to identify students who might have needs or need supports or modifications to make sure they can access properly the academic curriculum. Who is part of that MTSS team? It's all those members that you see below. Transportation. Busing availability will be limited. The district will make every attempt to provide busing for families who need it. A staggered arrival and dismissal times may be necessary. Busing capacity will adhere to updated CDC guidelines. Currently, 1 seat per seat, unless they're from the same household. Students must wear a face covering at all time on buses and must ride on the same bus in the morning as they would be in the afternoon. Those families who fill out the transportation survey will receive confirmation if a seat is available on the bus for their child. Arrival and dismissals. All faculty and staff will be parking in the main lot. For those of you who are familiar with the high school, that is the lot, the southern part of the building, closest to the entrance to the football field and grounds. That's where the faculty will park. Students will be entering the school through the cafeteria, or sometime, and also the horseshoe entrance, which is doors 8 and 9, or the main office, and they must remain in their designated areas until 7:15. We're asking parents to, if they're going to be dropping off their students, to drop them off at the doors 8 and 9, or the horseshoe, as it's commonly known as. And they will be entering through Memorial Drive or the one-way, or Education Way or Education Lane. Students will be designated to wait in the cafeteria, the old gym, or the new gym. Those are going to be the three areas in the morning where students are going to wait before they can come into the building. If a student comes into the building after 7:25, they must come in through the main office as they normally would. Okay, so that's a little bit of a change for parents. Many a time parents will drop off their kids in the front of the building in the main office area. The routing is going to change. It's going to be at the one-way near the old gym or the horseshoe. And again, all visitors still need to enter through the main office. Face coverings. The school committee passed a policy to require face coverings for all students while they're on campus. Until further notice, all students, employees, visitors are required to wear a face mask. All face coverings must be a disposable surgical mask or multi-layer clean reusable cloth masks. The following masks do not effectively stop droplets from releasing into the air, and the ones that are unacceptable are masks with valves, neck gaiters, scarves, bandanas, other single layer masks, masks with openings, holes, or gaps in the design material, and masks that are wet, damaged, ripped, or torn. We need your help to make sure that students have the appropriate masks for school. Students whose health and safety are put at risk by wearing face coverings are required to provide medical documentation. So if a doctor is indicating that you cannot wear a face mask, then a face shield would be provided for those students. But it should be more of the exception rather than the rule. Each student will have an age-appropriate procedure established for mask wearing to include opportunities for mask breaks. Those procedures will be added to the school's student parent handbook. Some of the opportunities students will have not to wear masks is obviously during lunch, where they'll have proper separation and we'll have opportunities to do that. Any student who refuses to wear a mask or a face covering shall be removed from the instructional setting and be redirected. If the issue cannot be resolved, that student will be required to participate in distance learning for the entirety of the duration of this situation. CDC guidance on ventilation for schools. In order of suggested steps, increase outdoor air ventilation. We're going to have fans in the classroom. We're going to have 2 fans in every classroom, which is going to pump as much air out of the classroom, causing more circulation of new air into the classroom, which I think would be a benefit to all students and reduce the amount of stagnant air in the classroom. All our classrooms that are going to be operational will have windows that are functional so that that operation can happen. And we're going to use portable, high efficiency, particulate air filtration systems in high risk areas. All PST classrooms have working air ventilation systems. We are currently testing our systems in all buildings. We have ordered MERV 13 filters, which is a much stronger filter for all of our units. And they're going to be replaced more regularly than previous to this epidemic or pandemic. We have scheduled additional changes. They're going to be more frequent. And we already know about the fans, and we're also ordering more portable, high efficiency particulate air filtration systems. And the Rhode Island Department of Education will be sending a team to evaluate each building throughout the state for efforts related to air quality. That seems to be based on CDC recommendations and the doctors that are working with RIDE to be the #1 way to provide more protection for students and adults in any closed area is having good filtration system, good air circulation, even more important than objects that might have contamination. So I think that's very important. I think our team at the school is doing an awesome job of making sure that happens in each one of our classrooms. In terms of cleaning, custodial schedules will be adjusted to maximize coverage during the school day. We have restrooms, classroom needs, meal locations. We have hired an additional custodian just to meet the additional needs that we have for cleaning at our building. Indoor quality cleaning and disinfecting will be done with Virex. A spray bottle with paper towels will also be available in each classroom. Indoor and outdoor surfaces will be sanitized at the end of each week with something called Max Clean. This product kills viruses and prevents the spread, including coronavirus, for up to 4 weeks. And it is scheduled that we are applying this Max Clean every 2 weeks to provide even additional layers of protection beyond the minimum of 4 week intervals. Visitors to our school will be limited in order to reduce exposure from the virus. Most of our meetings, if some of you are involved in IEP meetings or 504 meetings, are required to have a meeting with a teacher and a guidance counselor. We're asking that those meetings happen through either Zoom or Google Meets in order to minimize the opportunity to bring in any type of virus. If a parent or a guardian is needed to come into the building, it'll be limited to 1 per student. And that has to be really a secondary option. We prefer that parents, if they need to contact the school, they contact the school through email, through the telephone, or through the virtual medias that are available. We'll be also looking to see if, as we do every year for parents who are interested in volunteering, we just ask that if you're going to volunteer at Portsmouth High School, that you are just volunteering at Portsmouth High School and not volunteering in other community forums in order to minimize the possibility of you introducing the spread of the virus. And of course, we're not looking for volunteers for 19, 20, and 21. That should say 2020, 2021, in case people are watching, are reading the slideshow. Any visitor who does not enter the school building will be required to wear a face covering, enter and exit the building through one location, and provide a contact telephone number for a log that is required to be maintained according to the state of Rhode Island. So we really want to minimize the number of people that are coming into the building at any time. We want to maximize the technology that we have available to have virtual meetings with interested parties of teachers and guidance counselors or support staff. Thank you all for submitting questions in advance. And I think what we go to now is to the FAQ document. So we can review some of the questions that you all have asked. If I can find it. Steve, can you confirm that we're still able to see the screen at this point?
Yeah, we see the PHS FAQ sheet.
Very good. Thank you so much. So one of the questions is, will freshmen have the opportunity to view the building prior to the start of school? There will be a virtual freshman orientation that includes a virtual tour of the building. I saw a couple of other upperclassmen doing some takes throughout the building, and they'll be stringing that together to give as much of a virtual view. But remember, freshmen are also going to be able to come into the building earlier than all students for an entire week in order to get familiar with the logistics of being in a new school, learning some of the critical people that they're going to be working that can support them in either social emotional areas or in areas of academics. So I think that will be important. And they will have the dedicated attention, or there'll be dedicated support for that entire week. How will students, faculty, and staff be screened for COVID? This is very important. This is where you as a parent can really support us in being safe so that we can provide a hybrid model and have every single student be safe for the entire year. And that is, all students must complete a daily attestation form on Aspen prior to arrival at school each day. Administration will work with students and families who fail to comply with this daily attestation. Basically, what the attestation is that you as a family before the students come to school would go on to Aspen, fill out the form and say that your child, just like you would if you were going to a doctor's office, do you have any flu type symptoms? Do you have any upset stomach or anything that would be a precursor to potentially a virus? If you answer yes to any of those questions, we would ask respectfully that your child stay home and go and do virtual learning for that day. And the reason that the district and the state is asking you to fill that out is so that you can have a reflection about whether or not this is going to work for you to be in school that day. If there's at any doubt, we are asking parents to really support the school and to keep your child home and to access the virtual component of learning. As you know, we already went over the mask policy. We really want to help make sure that the mask is a very big way to prevent the aerosoling of germs throughout the classroom. Even though we have proper distancing in our classroom of 6 feet distancing, we do not want a situation where a student who has a poorly crafted mask or one that is not proper, using that in a classroom to potentially infect others. If a student for any reason forgets their mask, or if their mask falls off or breaks off, every teacher will be giving a set of masks to be able to distribute to the student in class in case of an emergency. But we really do ask that it's a good idea and a good practice to have a backup mask, perhaps in your backpack, to be able to use throughout the course of the day. What happens if someone is sick? The Portsmouth School Department would follow recommendations developed by the Rhode Island Department of Education. And again, this form will be available to you so you can you can read that at your leisure in terms of what the protocols are, but they're pretty strict and pretty straightforward. As you know, when students are coming to school, they're going to be assigned seats, and those are the same seats for the entire quarter. They're not going to be able to decide which seats they want to sit in, because in case something does happen, we need to know where the students, who came in contact with the students, who was in close proximity to the students, so we can do proper contact tracing and be able to determine where the source is and to be able to rule out other people that might not have come in contact with those students. What happens if a student begins to show signs, showing symptoms during the day? The teachers will call the nurse before sending students to the office. There'll be in symptomatic COVID cases, we'll wait in an isolation room. Parents will be expected to pick up students within 1 hour. A nurse will be in the nurse's office will be disinfected. We clearly are trying to prevent any spread of any viruses through this protocol. Again, how is the bus transportation being managed? We know that at the high school level, that many students are dropped off in the morning. That seems to be a high time to drop off students. And then a lot more students ride the buses in the afternoon. So please make sure that if you are dropping off your students in the morning, that they know what bus they're going on, particularly the first week of school. And they're going to have to be assigned to that bus. So it's important for them to know the bus number, and then to ask the bus driver where their assigned seat is, and that's going to be their seat for the rest of the quarter, okay? Because we don't have any more than 35 students per bus, and we need to make sure that students are not getting on the wrong bus, causing confusion and problems later down the line. Parking, that's one of our favorite topics at the beginning of the year for juniors and seniors. And during this hybrid model, it's probably going to be a lot easier for students to be able to find parking here at the high school. But we are sending out information in short time for students to be able to attain their parking sticker. Juniors will be still parking on the one-way, and seniors will be parking near the tennis courts, the horseshoe, or near the cafeteria side of the building. They still need to have a sticker because we need to make sure that whoever's parking on campus is legal to park here, and that there aren't outside people trying to access our school grounds. So it's important to make sure students are applying for their parking sticker. How will students get their schedules? Now, some students, students will be accessing their schedules through the Aspen portal in the week of September 7th. We still have quite a few students that are joining us from different parts of the country as they move in, and then registering as many as early as this week, as today. So we're still making sure that the classes are balanced, so we don't have an imbalance in terms of our class size, because we have limited number of seats that are available to students. So there's still some changes that are being made. Students that are a part of the Newport County Career and Technical School at Rogers High School in Newport, the schedule mirrors the same schedule at Portsmouth High School. We work really hard as an island to coordinate our schedules between Middletown and Rogers to make sure they mirror the same type of schedule. Is it going to be exactly the same? No, it is not in terms of times, but they usually aren't. But this year, in terms of the days, it's Tuesday, Thursday for students that are in residence. It'll be the same for Rogers in Middletown, as well as Wednesday and Fridays for other cohort of students. How would textbooks be distributed as a resource? Students will access all curriculum resources online during the week of November 14th to the 18th. So the first week of school, it's going to be all online. Students will not have textbooks. If teachers want to provide resources or primary materials to access for students, they will do that in a virtual format, which is the Google Classroom. And they will be able to share out documents and information for students to be able to access. For grades, for the freshman week of the 21st to the 25th, when the freshmen actually come in, they'll be distributed their normal resources of textbooks that they normally would have. The following week, the week of the 28th, all 10 through 12, grades 10 through 12 will have access to all their curriculum material, all their textbook materials that will be distributed to them in person. Those students that are strictly virtual, we will be having a late afternoon pickup for those students that are going to be accessing strictly a virtual schedule. So those students will also be able to get their textbooks as well. We mentioned this already. Where do students go upon arrival? We know where the faculty is going to park. We know the students are going to be designated to 3 different areas. The students before the first day of before their first day of school, mostly depending on what bus they're riding, will be assigned to either the cafeteria, the old gym, or the new gym from 7 to 7:15. And as parents, we ask you to try to get as close to drop off your child as close to 7:15 as possible, so that we don't have too many students, even though we have large areas, too many students congregating in one particular space. We already know that the student drop-off is going to be, the parent drop-off will be at the horseshoe area, and students will wait in those 3 areas. But at 7:25, once the official school day starts at 7:25, students need to come in through the main office and log in. And unfortunately, if they're here after 7:25, that's also considered, that's considered a tardy to school. So we want to try to make sure that the students are here, ideally between 7:15 and 7:25, where the teachers are in their rooms, being able to welcome students into their classrooms. And again, all visitors must enter through the main office. We want to discourage that. If you have things that you need to drop off, we will be having a protocol for parents in the main vestibule of the building, where they can drop off forgotten lunches or forms and things of that nature. We really want to minimize contact between adults, students, and other adults in the building. And again, to reduce the risk of the potential infection. How would students move safely through the building? We have a reopening committee that has worked on establishing traffic patterns, not only outside. You might see some different traffic patterns outside of our school, but also within our school, we're going to have one-way facilities, one-way arrows. We're going to have one-way up stairwells and one-way down. It's going to be a little different for students. And our schedule, initially with the modified schedule, the hybrid schedule, will have the same amount of time as passing, but we are prepared if it takes longer for students to adjust to getting from one end of the building to the other, that we are prepared to increase that time between classes if need be. Students who are going to have breakfast are still going to be able to have breakfast in the morning from 7 to 7:15. It's a grab and go continental breakfast where students can eat in the new gym cafeteria in the old gym, but we ask that students consume all their food in these designated areas that will be established for food consumption. We are not allowing students to, and this is a major shift from our policy, our procedures at the school. We're not allowing students to eat in the classroom. So if they're going to have a snack, they really need to, they're not going to be allowed to do it in the classroom. They need to do it at lunch. There'll be natural breaks in between classes. But we really want to encourage kids to keep their masks on and not expose themselves to expose others to potential aerosol germs. What about lunches? Students are going to be split between the old gym, which will be set up as a makeshift cafeteria, and the normal cafeteria that kids know. The students who are going to have lunches that are going to be purchased, we ask those students stay in the normal cafeteria setup. Those students that bring food from home, that they eat in the old gym, which will have cafeterias set up for them. Milk, juice, and water will be sold in the old gym, so they'll still have access to liquid refreshments. But if they're going to purchase, they need to go to the normal cafeteria. Again, all food needs to be consumed. And I know how sometimes students like to chew and walk and talk to their friends. We're not going to be able to do that. You need to eat your food in the cafeteria. If you need more time to eat your food, time will be afforded to you. But we do not want students eating food in, as they are leaving the cafeteria for a lot of different reasons. But we need to make sure we do that. So this is where the area where parents would ask if they can bring food and drink into the cafeteria. They can't eat, into the classroom. You cannot eat food in the classroom. All food must be completely consumed in the designated areas. But we understand that we want hydration, and that is important for overall health. We know health-wise, students need to drink water. Teachers are talking. They need to drink water. As a matter of fact, I think I might drink some water right now, but we will allow water consumption in the classroom because, and if you want to be extra safe, it's a good idea to bring a reusable straw that only you use, so you can limit your exposure to the elements. So if you bring a straw or one of those that are the cups that you're using that allows you to sift water through the container, those are probably the best kind to use in school. Bathrooms are always a contentious subject at the high school because we have so many of them. We have 3 bathrooms that are being used during normal operations: the A wing, the B wing, and the H wing, and they're opened during the day. But during transitions, we are having systematic, periodic cleaning, which means the last 10 minutes of each block in the A wing, it's going to get cleaned. During transition, the B wing gets cleaned for 10 minutes. So there's a forensic team that will go in and clean up the bathrooms during that time. And the H wing for the first 10 minutes of every block. That happens every day on the clock. And so we need to we're going to continue to share that information with students. But those bathrooms are always going to be open, and they're going to be supervised by either a teacher or a substitute teacher to make sure that there's proper distancing and there's not, as you know, some of the bathrooms can be very narrow. And so there are going to be a limited number of students in those bathrooms at any given time. However, knowing that lunch is also a high time for students to be able to use the bathrooms. When we were in the old cafeteria, we would use the D wing. But now, because we're using two cafeterias, we're going to use the D wing cafeteria and the E wing cafeteria, which the E wing bathroom, which right now is not utilized for student use. But during lunch, it will be renewed as a student access bathroom, which will also be supervised for students that are having lunch in the old gym. Okay. We used to have paper passes. We want to reduce the amount of paper passes, and we don't want students to be passing germs from one pass to the other. So we're eliminating the passes, and we're going to go with what we did in the freshman academy last year, and we piloted, which is a virtual pass. When students need to go from point A to point B, they'll go onto their Chromebook, they'll access the virtual pass, they will enter the information where they're coming to, where they're going, and then automatically it gets time-stamped, and then the teacher in the hallway can always refer to that virtual pass and see if the student is where they're supposed to be, or needs extra support, or is going to the lab, or going to the nurse, or whatnot. So we're trying to be safe by eliminating paper passes and going with a virtual pass. Again, students will be, that information will be shared with students. For those students that are sophomores this year, they probably know about it because they used it last year, but we're going to expand that to the entire school. Will still students have access to their locker? One of the most unique things being at the high school as compared to perhaps even the middle school is that students really enjoy having their lockers at the middle school, and they use it extensively. But what happens in high school is that the classrooms are so far apart that students prefer to use their backpacks. So even when we shut down prematurely in March, there were only 20, I think maybe 25 lockers that had anything in them. So we don't have a lot of usage, but lockers, we want to make sure that students have their material with them throughout the day, and we don't want students touching things that they don't have to. All the lockers this year will be inoperable. You're not going to be able to access lockers. So you need to bring your backpacks, your A-wing, your A-day backpack, and your B-day backpack when you're here in school. How will attendance be taken? Attendance will be taken in each class on A and B days, regardless of whether it's in person or distance learning on Tuesday through Friday. And attendance will be taken during extended advisory on Monday for the purposes of attendance. If those of you here last year, you know that flex days on Mondays are days where teachers connect with students who either need extra help, or they need a clarification, or they're working on an assignment, they need the teacher feedback, or sometimes a group of students will come in at the teacher's discretion and be able to work on projects or things that they want to have the time to be able to work on. But those are the methods that students are going to be judged in terms of their attendance. The same as in the spring. On flex days is an advisory, and on Tuesday through Friday, they have to check in within the first 5 minutes of advisory. So even if the student is home, if they're not checking in within the first 5 minutes, they're considered tardy to the class. So that's an important feature. And again, we're going to share that with the students in our student handbook so that they have a better understanding what their expectations are. So what is a typical flex day? For those of you who are new, you probably don't know how we organize our flex days. But extended advisory happens it's always on Mondays. And extended advisory it runs from 7:55 to 8:20. So a student day on Mondays is 7:55 to 8:20. Attendance is taken. They need to sign in if they want to get credit. And then we run all 8 classes based on this schedule from 8:30 all the way to 2:15. Every single one of the students' classes are run virtually. And again, students might be in, or they might not have to access that, and they might be able to work on their schoolwork. Okay. How will safety be ensured in the classroom? Students will be seated 6 feet apart, fixed seating, no shared masks or materials. We're going to disinfect the spray in each room. Hand sanitizer dispensers are already in the classroom. And some of the classrooms not only have hand sanitizers, but they also have water, warm water with soap that students can use. Of course, hand washing is a very important thing to do. Not only is it a good practice for all germs, but especially during this time. And student desks will be sanitized between classes. Okay. How will PE or physical education class be different? Students will have access to the will not have access to the locker rooms. So there's been a dispensation for students who want to be who are going to participate in phys ed. We're asking for their comfort level for them to wear some type of comfortable clothing for the days that they have phys ed in school, so they can run around and do all the normal activities. But if a student decides that day they're going to wear jeans and sneakers, that's okay. They're not going to get penalized for not being prepared for PE. It's going to count. And we're encouraging most of the PE classes on nice days to go outside, because as you go outside and you spread out, you reduce your chances of any virus exposure. Now, right now, we are expecting students to leave at the end of the day unless there's approval for extracurricular activities and or sports. We don't know that yet. We don't know what the Rhode Island Scholastic League is going to do relative to opening sports. It's a potential decision that's going to be made hopefully by the end of this week, and even perhaps next week, as they explore the options available to them. But right now, if there are no sports, there are no extracurricular activities, including any type of group or clubs after school. They should all be run virtually until we have more information about the social distancing protocols and what we're expecting to do in an after-school setting. All our teachers are expected to leave our building at 3:30 because we have extensive cleaning protocols that are going to happen after 3:30, and we just don't want students around and teachers potentially delaying or not allowing our custodians to have access to cleaning the classrooms. Okay. We talked about how buildings are going to be sanitized. It's a very specific protocol that's been established by the Department of Health in conjunction with the Department of Education. And we're thinking that it's going to be, we're as a district, with the support of the efforts of Dr. Kenworthy, has really secured the opportunity for us to even go beyond the minimum. So I think our district has been very proactive in trying to provide multiple opportunities to have our buildings be as clean as possible. That is all for this. I just think because we did not have a chance, I want to go back to since I was not able to share the slide at the very beginning. Just very briefly, I just want to share the 3 slides. So again, for emphasis, okay. So this is again what it looks like in the pictorial format for the week of the 14th. All students are distance learning except for those students that are considered to be in a life skills program. For the 21st, only 9th grade students and life skills students would be in school at any given time. And we're going to have Mondays as a distance day for everybody. And as you can see how the green areas are when students are going to be in depending on their last name. So they're either going to be in Tuesday and Thursday or Wednesday and Friday. And then we're on the week of the 28th, we're going to have Monday as distance learning again. Every Monday's a distance learning day. And then again, Tuesday and Thursday, Wednesday and Friday, depending on your cohort for the entire duration. Now, this is just the beginning. As we go through and we get more information and as we get our own experiences, we have a team that's created a lot of these plans. We're going to be sharing these plans with the students, either through virtual media and also when they're here in session. and reinforced by our teachers. But there will be changes that are going to hopefully be an additional benefit to students as we see how the traffic flows are, and might need more time between classes. That we might need more time for lunch. All those things are going to be happening again with our first priority that I mentioned at the very first part of our discussion today, with student safety first. That is primary. And then secondary is providing students with the high quality education that Portsmouth High School provides, into preparing students to be 21st century learners. So it is a very, the heartbeat of the building is our students. We really miss them here, and we really do look forward to seeing them back in school in a safe, controlled way, so that they can flourish and be able to share their best self in the process of learning, and to grow and to become better citizens in our community through their proper interaction with each other. Our teachers came in for the first time today, and they're organizing their rooms in ways that are proper and safe. They're organizing their lesson plans. They're involved in a tremendous amount of professional development in terms of technology usage. Our teachers are going to be have been allocated through the efforts of Mrs. Viveris, our new assistant superintendent, to get iPads that they're going to be utilizing to perhaps even have the ability to become more paperless in the ways that they interact with students. And one thing is for certain, regardless of what the outcome is of this new approach, is that learning is going to be different. And technology has really pushed the agenda of how students learn and how teachers teach. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity to really advance and to continue to push our students to high levels of rigor and learning. So I want to thank you so much. Thank you for being a partner with us at Portsmouth High School. If I was not able to answer any of your questions today, please feel free tomorrow to call the school, and one of our, myself or one of our assistant principals will return information back to you in terms of what we're doing in a particular case. And just be on the lookout for more information as the dynamics change and we have more information to propel our mission here at the school. So thank you so much, and have a great evening. Thank you.